What's up guys, Trojan here, and welcome back to the Sword Art Online Marathon. Although I can't really call it a marathon anymore considering the fact that it's been 7 months since I last uploaded. Ooh boy. Anyway, if you guys remember from the first 2 videos I did all those months ago, I thought the first 2 games in the Sword Art Online series were pretty good games in their own right and damn good adaptations of an anime that I don't really much care for. Anyway, it's been months, so let's not waste any more time and get right into it. This is Sword Art Online, Hollow Realization.
Hollow Realization follows our usual gang of characters as they play the beta test for a new full-dive VR MMO called Sword Art Origin.
Come on, what is wrong with these people?
On top of having a similar name to the game they were all trapped in, its source code is based off the original SAO, and its world takes place on the surface of the world that Aincrad was floating above, called Einground. Thankfully, this game won't kill them.
Well, it may not be a death game for the players anymore, but there are still life and death stakes.
The gang quickly realizes that the NPCs in the game are all real AIs, and thus stay dead when they get killed. To make matters worse, some players get a kick out of killing NPCs, forcing them to protect any NPCs they find that are in trouble.
Anyway, that's enough backstory, let's get into the plot.
Shortly after they start playing the game, Kirito is sent a mysterious message about returning to Aincrad. Immediately afterwards, he meets a strange NPC girl that sends him on a seemingly useless quest. The group soon realizes that she was never properly programmed by the system, causing all of her settings to be set to null, and she has to stick around them to keep her safe when some players try to kill her to reset her quest, not knowing or not caring that it would kill her permanently. While they're protecting her, they decide to name her Premier, and they quickly end up stumbling on a secret quest involving her. Throughout the game, being around our heroes causes her to grow a personality, going from a completely blank slate to the mentality of a young girl that takes everything literally.
I honestly really don't find Premier's character to be all that interesting. We've seen the whole emotionless character grows feelings and doesn't understand figures of speech thing before, and they do nothing new here. One thing this game does do new though from at least the other games in the series is it gives us a real, actual villain.
He's a player named Genesis, and he's pretty much just a huge dick. He has a reputation for kill stealing, he's super arrogant, and he uses the Black Swordsman moniker, which was the one Kirito used back in the original game. To make matters worse, he's able to easily take down any players that challenge him, as he is one of the many players that have figured out how to use digital performance-enhancing drugs. As the story progresses, he starts off as just an annoying thorn in their sides, but eventually becomes a real threat, and as the first actual main villain of the games, I kinda like him.
Sadly though, with the only real exception being Sinon, all of the returning characters have 0 development this time.
This means that characters I liked in the previous games because they were given good development in the past are just reduced to more one-dimensional characters. The special events where you get to spend time with your friends are just not interesting at all anymore, and I skipped practically all of them because it became apparent very quickly that those events didn't matter in the slightest in terms of real substantial character development. Instead of the characters growing closer, it's just them hanging out doing mundane things. They just serve to send the game's pacing to a screeching halt, as 8 or 9 events unlock every time you make progress in the story.
But there is one cardinal sin that this game commits.
The full resolution to this game's story is DLC. Not just any DLC, no, but a 3-episode expansion called The Abyss of the Shrine Maiden. It's really not okay that I have to buy 3 separate episodes to an expansion just so I can wrap up the damn story.
Yeah, so I'm not really all that impressed with the game's plot. While I like Genesis as a villain, I don't think Premier's character is all that interesting, and you gotta spend extra cash just to resolve the damn thing. Let's see how the presentation holds up.
First off, this game looks beautiful, especially the environments. From what I understand, this was the first Sword Art Online game that was made specifically for the PS4 and not ported over from the Vita. The environments are lush and vibrant, but the character models, while improved over last time, are still lacking. I really hate to beat this dead horse, but I still hate the visual novel style cutscenes, just like the last 2 games. It's one of the reasons why I kept skipping all of those character interaction events I mentioned before. They are long and boring. And strangely enough, there are typos all over the place. It's really weird. The music is a step up from the last two games. It's still not stuff I would hum to myself, but it's very atmospheric. In fact, the dungeon theme in this game honestly reminds me of something I'd hear in a Metroid Prime game. And that's a very good thing, because Metroid Prime is awesome.
So, let's move on to the final piece of this puzzle, the gameplay.
Just like the last two games, Hollow Realization tries to emulate MMOs. To that effect, you have the large sprawling environments, NPCs posting as other players that you can even get quests from, fetch quests, collection quests, monster extermination quests, dungeons, raids called Sacrament Invasions, and raid bosses to progress to each area.
Now this game is way more similar to Hollow Fragment than it is to Lost Song, so I'll be comparing it to that.
The combat system in this game is reminiscent of the auto battle system from Hollow Fragment, except you perform all actions yourself. In addition to regular attacks, you can also have your character perform sword skills like in Hollow Fragment, but the magic from Lost Song is gone. There's a hotkey list of actions down at the bottom that reminds me a lot of the console version of Final Fantasy XIV, and you can give orders to your other party members, and it's a lot of fun to play. I actually had fun doing monster extermination quests because the combat is such a good time. Speaking of other party members, you can take 3 of them into battle with you, and they have actual classes this time, being either an attacker, healer, buffer, or tank. It gives you a good amount of freedom in shaping your party the way you want to, and allows for some strategy before heading out into the world. There are also ways for you to change your party members' behavior, but it's in kind of a roundabout way. Each of the characters that can join your party has several personality traits that they can switch between on the fly. They will have any 6 of them at any given time, and which personality trait they use will change how they act in battle. Through the game's affection system, you can have a character hold on to specific personality traits and reshuffle the ones you don't want until the character is built the way you want them. Because the characters are all playing this game for the first time, Kirito starts off at level 1 as opposed to level 100 in the last 2 games. This gives you a totally blank slate to build Kirito however you want to, instead of sticking with his dual-wield style from the anime and other games. I'm not saying you couldn't switch his fighting style last time, but he had already made substantial progress in that style, so it was easier to just stick with it. There's also a character customization system. It was in Hollow Fragment 2, but I chose not to mention it because I didn't use it. You can alter Kirito's name and appearance, and even his voice and gender, but it's completely pointless since in cutscenes he has his default appearance, name, voice, and gender anyway. I have no idea why you can even do it since it's pointless, but I decided to anyway. So, I went with a long-haired, katana-wielding, husky-voiced guy with different colored eyes. Yes, it was goofy and edgy as all hell, but hey, it's more interesting than Kirito's usual design. If I have to point out a flaw in the combat system, I honestly feel like using healing items takes way too long to be useful in combat. I mainly just bring it up because there are certain fights where Kirito has to fight alone, and it really sucks. Putting all that aside, there's one mechanic that was absent in Lost Song that comes back. Making its triumphant return is the ability to sleep with all the girls again!
Yeah, so I originally had a little joke planned where I would like pop a confetti launcher, but yeah, I'm really tired of acting excited about this mechanic. It's kind of dumb.
Just like Hollow Fragment, you can go on dates with the girls after growing closer to them, which, if you play your cards right, can lead to the bedroom. Just like last time, you can pick a favorite, or just sleep with all of them.
So, to recap, despite liking the game's villain, I didn't really like the game's plot all that much, but it has a great combat system that's a lot of fun with a decent amount of freedom. So, with all that said, my final rating for Sword Art Online Hollow Realization is a 7 out of 10, just like Lost Song. While there were great improvements made to the gameplay and overall fun factor, the lackluster story and the fact that the ending is DLC drags the rating back down. So, we're finally approaching the end. Next time, we're finally going to cover the latest game, so far at least, in the Sword Art Online franchise. So, next time, we're going to be taking a look at Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. So, with all that said, I'm the Trojan with Digital Bloodlines. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a good night.